Welcome, Igor, to Metallarium Pages. Welcome you to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about the Go Ahead and Die, this new album, Unhealthy Mechanisms, and more things relating to the metal world in general. So we start with a common question: how has Bandy been in the last 2 years? Because your first album or your self-titled album, Go Ahead and Died, was released in 2021. 2 years later, we have this new album, Unhealthy Mechanism.
It's been good. The debut did really well, and everybody was really excited about it, but we didn't really get to play. We didn't really get a tour or do anything like that. COVID was still kind of shutting things down here and there. But yeah, now we're here 2 years later. We have this new album. We worked really hard on it. We really put the time and dedication into it to make it the best record that we can be. And, if you've heard it yet, you can hear that the aggression's there, the rawness is there, the brutality of it all is there. And, we really just can't wait for people to hear it.
Okay. Well, I remember when we spoke 2 years ago, I remember for Go Ahead and Die. I remember I asked you about this question. I saw that the band is playing now live since 2020-21. So some dates now. But obviously, your father, in this case, Max Cavalera, was a person too much occupied for the other projects. Now are doing a tour with Max Cavalera project, etc. So how this arrange of the play live would Go Ahead and I will be in the future? Are you trying to because I saw that Go Ahead and I had some attention from the media. And obviously, a lot of promoters, a lot of people asking, when do you available? How do you figure or how do you fix this problem when your daughter is in another tour or gig?
Basically, it's kind of like juggling. We have to just fit everything in wherever it can. So yeah, actually, right now we're touring with Cavalera Conspiracy, doing the Morbid Visions stuff. I'm actually on the road right now. I'm in New York City. And it's just one of those things, we have to prioritize it, and we talked about it, and we basically made it clear that we want to play this stuff and we want to do a full tour, you know what I mean? And possibly even worldwide stuff, go over to Europe and South America, possibly. So it just kind of came down to what we want to prioritize, so with the release of the Morbid Visions and Bestial Devastation, we had to focus on that first. So we'll be doing that through the rest of the year. But as far as I know right now, we are starting to plan a Go Ahead and Die tour. First in the States. That's going to be in, I think, January and February of next year. And hopefully by the summertime, we are making our way over to Europe as well and starting to hit some of these other countries. Because yeah, it's never been played live much. We've actually only done one show as of now. We had more planned, but like I said, COVID kind of shut those down.
Yes.
So yeah, the plan is to prioritize it, and my dad wants to play it just as much as I do. So for him, he was like, if we need to move some things to further in the year so that we can do this, let's just move the things around. Like I said, it's kind of like juggling. So it is our priority to play this stuff though, early into next year.
Okay. Well, as I said, Go Ahead and Die is a band that doesn't have many performances. I tried to find more performers live, etc. And for this, how will you focus on your live set list? Because until I know, as I know, Go Ahead and Die album didn't have a good promotion with tours, gigs, Europe, US. This album.
Yeah.
And Unhealthy Mechanism is, I think, will be the same because your dad is too occupied for this aspect. So how will you focus the set list for the upcoming presentation, Go Ahead and Die? You will focus more on this new album, or perhaps you will promote both albums?
We're definitely going to play stuff from both. That's the plan. I could see us playing the entire new album, Unhealthy Mechanisms. I could see the entirety of that. And then, I would say we'll still play over half of the first record too. Especially if we're doing a headlining set, that'll be 60 to 70 minutes. So it's not out of the question that we play most of the material that we have. Each record is between 35 and 40 minutes. So we're coming up with a good set that's a mixture of both. And yeah, exactly. Because we didn't really get a tour the first one, we're going to be promoting that as well. Playing a lot of those songs for the first time live. It's going to be really cool. We're planning to have a full production. Intros, samples, the whole thing. We want to make it a nice package for people to enjoy. A nice bundled up thing that introduces the band and introduces the songs and is going to show people what we're all about.
Okay. Well, at the first time, I remember they asked you that is go ahead and that has a taste of how it smells or flavors like the old Sepultura. No, now this new album you have more influence of this new band. So for you, in which part of the music are much better? I will rephrase this one. So are you in charge of all compositions of this unhealthy mechanism, or perhaps you will share the composition process with Max?
There was a bit of it shared, but I did start this one on my own. I would say the first 4 songs or so I wrote while my dad was on tour. So, it was kind of I guess you could say I took more control on this record. But he still did contribute. He wrote some of the riffs. He worked on some of the song structures with me and things like that. Especially during the demoing process. We did a similar demo to the first record on a very old Korg 12 track. And I think the drum machine's from like 1990 that we used. It's the same one my dad's always used. So yeah, when it came time for demoing, he got a bit more involved, but much of it I was writing just on my own. While he was on the road, I started coming up with the ideas. I wrote, I would say 80-90% of the lyrics are stuff that I had come up with, and the themes and stuff. So yeah, I think the first record was a little bit more split down the middle, both of us. But this one I took a little bit more creative control, especially in the studio when it came time to get guitar tones and drum sounds, vocal approaches, things like that. I was kind of the one making the final decisions on this album.
Okay. Well, one detail that I saw in both cover bars is the go ahead and die album and unhealthy mechanism is that the album has the same like the in the same line of the concept lyric because the first is black and white, now the second is black and white, but it's the same artist for both albums. For perhaps do you have some what the main idea of the both albums? Because for me it's something like a conceptual albums both.
Oh yeah, they're definitely both concept albums. They just come from different influences, I guess you could say. We wrote the debut album in 2020, which was during COVID. It was an election year in America. It was also the year of the George Floyd incident. You know what I mean? So there was it was a much more politically driven album, that particular one. But like you said, we wanted to keep the artwork in line. We wanted to, I guess, keep things, up to standards. There was definitely an idea, a vision that we had, and we wanted to keep it all sort of relevant to each other, but, with unhealthy mechanisms, it's a very different theme. Dives a lot more into mental health and social issues and politics and things like that. And that's where you can even tell with the cover, it's a little different. This covers a little bit more on the death metal grindcore side, whereas the debut one was a bit more of like a punk looking thing. But I like that we kept the colors kind of the same and we kept the whole aesthetic of it. I think it's going to look really cool once we have more lines of albums and records and things, each with their own concept, each with their own theme, and that's always been really important to me. I think songs are kind of like storytelling, and each album has its story on its own, you know what I mean? Its own individuality, I guess you could say. and unhealthy mechanisms is definitely a lot darker.
Yeah.
Much more psychological than political this time around.
Okay. Okay. I know, bueno, obviously, when we talk about Max, we speak about the older progress that he has, and now is Go Ahead Die with you. But so into this other, how to prevent Go Ahead and Die from having his personality when Max is in the band, and how you told and also you told me that the band is you are playing songs for the old Sepultura songs. You are now in a tour with your dad here in New York City, etc. So how do you prevent that the bands go ahead and that has their personal soul without your father in it?
I think that just comes down to the fact that me and him have different writing styles. So even though he is contributing to it and he is singing on it and playing guitar, me and him just really don't write the same way. We have very different ideas in terms of song structures and things like that. Like I'm very, very big into a lot of experimental sounds, noise, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So I think that's where it'll get its own flavor for me. And, that's why I'm doing the interviews. That's why I'm getting credited as the producer. That's why, I'll come up with the set list. I'll kind of be the forefront of it. Because it's something we wanted to work on together, but it was definitely more of my idea and my influences going towards it. And, I think it's just for some people, it might be hard to see past that. Sometimes it might be like I'm in the shadow of it a little bit, but, that's just something that I'm going to continue to work on and prove myself as a musician and prove myself as a songwriter and just keep going forward. You know what I mean? And, just I think getting to see the live experience, people will see what kind of musician I am and what kind of vibe that I bring to the table. But I think the biggest thing that's going to set it apart from Sepultura and Soulfly and Cavalera Conspiracy is that I'm a bit more of an experimental songwriter than my dad is, and I think people will be able to tell on this record.
Okay. Well, I remember. I know that the Go Ahead and Die is now with two albums over in your career of the band. So, but for me, it's a curious thing to see that a person like you, less than 30 years old, are still creating albums in a world that just now prefers singles. Because I think when a generation is now your generation prefers to hear playlists, just singles. Well, rather turn back in time. And for me, it's very difficult because I grow up with the albums in the 80s, since the 80s, 90s. I prefer always
Yeah.
the time to buy albums. So for you, well, for me, the motivation to hear albums always be the same, like the first time that I hear that first album from Autopsy, but not hear album from Sepultura, etc., 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 etc.
Yeah.
And for this, for you, what motivates you as a part of this new generation to create an albums when your generation prefer to hear just singles?
Well, I guess the biggest thing to me is when I got into metal and particularly punk and stuff like that. I really enjoyed the idea of the album. I really enjoyed the idea of a long playing record. There's only so much that a single can get across. And if you only listen to singles, you only listen to hits, you're actually missing out on a lot of good songs that these bands created, especially um going backwards. If you go backwards and listen to bands from the 70s, 80s and 90s, if you're skipping out on those later songs on the album, you're actually missing a lot of the best material, in my opinion. And despite the fact that singles are more popular, I wanted to create uh I don't know how to explain it. I wanted to create something with a little more substance, I guess you could say. And I wanted people to appreciate the album cover. I wanted people to appreciate the booklet with the lyrics and the band photo and everything like that. Because despite the age difference between, me and my dad, for instance, we both appreciate the same things. And as funny as it sounds, we're not going to follow a trend because that's what's popular right now. We wanted to make full albums. We wanted this to be in the spirit of the 80s and 90s metal. And if we were to just put out singles, I don't think that would be the right way to portray it. So that was just very important to me. And I like enjoying listening to an album from start to finish. And Unhealthy Mechanisms is actually streamlined the whole way through. Every song goes directly into the next one without stopping. So I think listening to it all the way through is much more of an enjoyable experience than cherry picking some of the singles.
Yes,
And I will stand by that, no matter what the trend is.
yeah. Okay. Well, the trend is that the trend is retrend, like because we're returning back on time. In 40s and 50s, the music is spread by singles at that time. Since
Yep.
60s, the album was created with Black Sabbath, like a lot of bands more. So,
Yep.
well, returning to this new album, the next question is go related with the last one. So, for you, which single or for the new generation capture whole texture dynamics that this album has for the new generation or singles?
I mean, one of them that's been released already is Desert Carnage. That's the opening song on the album. And to me, it is just one of the most intense songs on the record. I think the structure is very interesting, and it doesn't exactly go where you expect it to. There's a lot of twists and turns that kind of come out of nowhere on that song, and that was a big thing that we were going for on this record, was to have it be very unsuspecting. We didn't want people to know what to expect. We don't want people to know exactly what direction we're going to go with on each song. And to me, that was the perfect song to open the record. That was the perfect song to introduce it. The lyrics are very dark and brutal, and they're based on the desert that I actually kind of grew up in, you know what I mean, in Arizona. So yeah, I think I'd have to pick that song. Or the second single we picked was Tumors, which was another great one. Very very groovy death metal kind of vibe on that one. But either of those songs will get the message across. It's very fast. It's very it's very passionate and intense, especially in terms of the vocals. And it kind of it sets up the mood for the whole record.
Okay. One, we're talking about, well, we are very close to this interview, Igor. And for this aspect, what kind of plans do you have for this new album, Headly Mechanism? Well, you told me a few minutes ago that you will embark in some tours. So you will preparing more tours for for this to play this album completely in general. So perhaps will you have plans to play in Latin America next year, this year, because your father has a lot of connections in this part of the world, or who knows, Europe, Australia, or perhaps you're already now composing the third album from Go Ahead and Die.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. The machine never really stops working. But yeah, I mean, the priority right now is to play live, because it just, it's gotten attention, but to see it live and to hear about it and to be able to hit city after city all over the world, I think that's the best thing that the band needs to do right now. But we're always writing. That's true. As soon as one is done, I almost instantly start working on another project. You know what I mean? So yeah, there will be. I'm sure there will be more albums in the coming years. But for now, that's definitely our priority, is to just get all over, play everywhere that we can. Make it to Latin America, places like that, Australia, hopefully, and definitely Europe and America, places like that. That's definitely just our top priority right now. We want to basically spread the band like wildfire if we can.
Okay, okay. Well, one of the last question, as you can see now and related now this in general for the music industry, just not go ahead, this new album or the metal in general. As you can see now, the music in general is like for the many people as like a background now. It's not like the 80s, 70s, 60s or 90s when you hear the completely album, completely focus on the album, or sit down in wherever you want, in your bed, in couch, and paid attention completely for the music at that time. Now the people now prefers to hear the music as a background or the common lives, daily jobs, going to the supermarket, washing the car, laundry, go to the bed with the pet. So it's something like that. It's not like anymore paid a lot of attention with the music. Even when you can see the trends in TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, the music is as a background, not like the more no the music's not they have a lot of attention from the people. So for you, where the art and or entertainment enters in this generation when less people are consuming physical material, and obviously, as I said, are and hearing the music just as a background of their lives, not like some important in their lives.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way I look at it is, any way that someone wants to enjoy music, that's the right way for them. So if you do just like it as a background thing on your Instagram story or playing on your Bluetooth while you clean the house, there's nothing wrong with it. And the way that I appreciate music is, not going to be the same as everybody out there. But one thing I will say is there is a young crowd getting into metal. I've even noticed it on this Morbid Visions tour. When I'm playing for the crowd, I notice there's a good amount of people that probably saw Sepultura back in the 90s, the older crowd, but there's a very good mix of younger kids that are getting into it and trying to bring that new generation into metal. And I think in a way it's actually easier for people to find music now, and it's everyone has music right in the palm of their hand nowadays. So even if the trend isn't to enjoy the whole album or to look at the artwork or do this or that, I do still think music's very important to people. And even though the medium for enjoying it has changed, the people that are true fans that truly appreciate it, they will buy the records, they will go to the shows. I don't think any technological advance is ever going to make people stop appreciating live human beings playing music with their emotions. I don't think that's something that's ever going to be taken away. No matter how digitally advanced music gets, no matter how technologically advanced the creation of it gets, I still think there will be people that enjoy live drums and live guitars and live voices. And that's kind of the way I look at it. And if we bring new people into metal, then welcome them in. I'm gonna do the opposite of gatekeeping. You can come enjoy my band even if you've never heard metal in your life. You can come check it out even if you're unsure or you're a little scared to go to a metal show. Come check it out. You might end up liking it. And I think that's one of the cool things about the digital age is you can bring more people into it, and despite the shorter attention span, you can still get people into your music and at your shows and going crazy with you, and that's the beauty of it.
Okay, okay. Well, Igor, the sad times arrive at this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one like me. As a first time, terrific guy. I love this new album for Unhated Mechanism. Congratulations on it. And perhaps we want to add something to your Latin American fans and Metalerum followers.
Oh, definitely. Just please keep your eyes out for the record. Listen to it. Let us know what you think. Keep your eyes open for when we do announce tours. It's probably gonna come up before you know it. It seems far away now, but it'll happen fast. So yeah, if you're out there, just keep listening, support the channel that I'm talking on. support the band, and keep banging your head. That's all I can really say.